And welcome to Closest to the Win, Episode 4. And Closest to the Win is a Hammercast Network program, and we appreciate that. We appreciate all the opportunities there. And we got a big one this week, guys. With me to my right is going to be Pro Drew. How you doing, Pro?
I'm doing great. It's good to be back. I feel like we've had a good start to the show as far as tournament wise. We've had some really good tournaments, so I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, this one I'm really looking forward to. We've been rocking really, really well, and I know that we got a little bit beat up last week. We didn't get an outright winner. Oh my gosh! But we did have some really good calls. We had some not so good calls. We'll talk a little bit about those. And we got a lot of good things for you tonight. Nick, how you doing, buddy? Guru.
Another stop on the Florida swing. Popular one, famous one. Let's see if we can improve on last week a little bit.
Let's do it. Let's talk about that. It's the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Everybody knows this at Bay Hill. Last year, Hatton was the actual champion with only a -4. It was a really, really tough sledding last year. And from the looks of it, could be some tough sledding again this year. We do know that there's only 123 players. It is an invitational, and so it's a much smaller field than typical. The cut is going to be, I think, top 26, top 65 plus ties. That'll be your cut, and which is about a little bit more than half the field. And so that's not too bad. It is a par 72, and it's just under 7,500 yards. Big boy. Lots of water, lots of sand, and lots of wind. Bermuda grass, and they are expecting some of those northeast winds, which do wreak havoc with these guys' heads a little bit. We do know it's tiny Bermuda greens, and ball striking is going to be a premium. I think off the tee is going to be a premium because they've let the rough grow. And so you want those guys that are going to be in the fairway and the guys that hit the greens, but they're not always going to be able to do that with that wind. So I'm also looking for somebody that can scramble. And so those are my three main criteria that I was looking at. Obviously, I always go to your model at the overall end, but I like to kind of put mine together first. I also look at par 5 scoring, and I look at birdie or better. And then the last metric this week I used was par 5 scoring. On this long course, and so, but it's a second shot course. You know what it's like, Pro. You've played courses like this. What are your thoughts on Bay Hill?
Bay Hill can definitely bear its teeth, as we saw last year. It just all depends on the wind. And from what I hear, the golf course is playing somewhat firm, so it's a difficult test. And you bring up the par 5s and par 5 scoring. Like for me, the 6th hole rings a bell. If you recall, it wraps around basically the entire lake on the left-hand side. I believe last year I saw Justin Rose make a 406 on that hole. Literally, I think he made 12, 13. It can ruin your day. But you're right.
Kind of like concession?
Yes, absolutely. But you do have to score on the par 5s, and there are a different variety of par 5s. It's a great golf course. The thing to me about the Arnold Palmer Invitational that I wish, and hopefully it starts to get better with this somewhat mixed up schedule, is you don't always get the great turnout as far as a field at this event. And I think it's just a really good golf course. It's good to see Spieth there this week. But I hope that this continues to develop into a better field. And it certainly looks like it is this week, of course, but in the past it's kind of been a little less field, but it's a fantastic golf course. And Tiger Woods has won this thing 100 times. Anytime he tees it up, he seems to be in contention here.
You know what I find interesting is I think only 2 or 3 times in the history of the tournament has the best player or any player have four rounds of in the 60s. Tiger's never done it. And so it's going to be there. It's going to be tough getting 4 consistent rounds in this. Guru, what are your thoughts on this course? And what I know you've done a lot of mining this week. What's your thoughts here, man?
So I'm going to go with what Drew said. So the 6 is really interesting because I found this YouTube video of this long drive champion from 2017. It's been out for a couple years, but I think it's got 6 million views. But it's actually kind of cool because he drove the green from all 3 tees in the back. And so the number one question for me is, will Bryson try it, and will he be successful in doing it? Because
well, did he drove the greens? Did he land on the greens?
Yeah.
You can do it because
he can't normally get any accuracy at all.
No, I mean he got lucky a couple of times because one hit the I can't remember if it was the first or the second, but it like hit the rocks and bounced around. But he eagled all 3 times and he barely missed an albatross, I think, from the far back tees. And he's not known for his putting. He's just a long drive guy. And you take somebody like Bryson, maybe doesn't have as much control with the driver, but yet he's got the better short game and the better putter. I hope he tries it because I would love to see it. It would be crazy if he could get an albatross on that hole. So that's
he would have to be over par. Like he would have to be 6 or 7 over par going into. You know what I mean? I feel like he would have to be out of the tournament.
He might be.
Yeah, right. And he may. But I feel like don't you agree that he would be? I mean, that's just the ballsiest of things that I have ever seen.
It's going to be Tin Cup in real life, basically. That's the way I look at it. And Tin Cup's one of my favorite movies, so I hope he does it because I think it would be entertaining as heck. That aside, I think the weather's supposed to pick up on Saturday, so it's kind of like a tale of 2 tourneys for me. The big thing is trying to get through the cut, and I imagine it'll be probably low 71, 72, 73 people probably skate through. I'm not going to try to predict a number now, but I'll put some sort of guess in the article tomorrow. But so you get through, and then hopefully you're near the top, and you can pray for some havoc for some of your competitors around you, and hopefully you can outlast them and maybe skate by with something decent on Sunday. So I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll be kind of in line with, prior years. I definitely think the winning score will be more than, -4. It's just because last year was a fluke, but I definitely don't think it'll be, 18 like the, concession. No. Maybe somewhere 11 or 12 maybe is probably a good number to aim for.
I was in that 11 to 13 range. And so that's kind of where I planted my flag myself.
Luck of the draw too sometimes with your tee time. I mean, you can get it when it comes to this golf course, you can get the worst end of it in the morning or the afternoon. And sometimes that draw will, I mean, guys are going out and shooting 66, 67 in the morning, and the guys in the afternoon can't break par. And all of a sudden you put yourself behind the 8 ball.
That's a kick in the head. All right. So, man, a lot to talk about. Let's go ahead and get right into it, boys. You ready to go into our top plays and fades? We're going to start with the 10K range. You know how it works. We'll start with you, Guru. 2 plays in the 10K range and 1 fade, and it's always the hardest one because who the hell can you fade in this range? But that's why we do it. We don't start from 9K. We go all the way up.
Well, I'll save the fade for the end. So,
of course,
1, 2, I'm going to go Hatton and Rory. I'm not going to overthink it. I mean, they make sense in the model to me, and I'm going to run with it. So,
but you hear what our most loyal guest, I'll call him a guest, all Falcon Day, the Rory fan of himself.
Yeah,
is very happy that the Guru is picking Rory.
If he's gonna win, it's gonna be here. And I mean, mainly just because of the top 6s the last 4 years. I mean, with the slightly weaker field this year, I mean, it's now or never the way I look at it. I think the price is a little short to bet him outright, outside of DFS. But do you play him at that price or not? I think you can play him and still play some other people. So he's on my short list. But, last 24, he's first off the tee, and that's a pretty good predictor of, success here. The 60th in approach, 55th around the green, and 54th in putting is a little questionable, but I'm going to give it a shot. But, last 24 is first in driving distance, first in birdies. So that's kind of a bonus too. And then things that I like season to date, he's 7th in birdie or better, and he's 33rd in par 5 scoring average. So, I'll give Rory a shot. It actually makes some sense this week. And then the easy money play of the week, the way I look at it, is going with Hatton. I mean, his last 24 is 13th off the tee, 4th in approach. 8th in putting. I mean, it just makes sense. 16th in greens and reg, 25th in birdies, 22nd in bogeys. But the thing that gets me is he actually fits in a lot of these approach buckets. Now, depending on who you talk to, you're going to have people that say, oh, you need the 150, you need the 175, you need the 200. Yeah, there's going to be some long approaches when you can't actually attack some of these greens. But he's 33rd from 150 to 175, 33rd 175 to 200. He's 10th from greater than 200. And I think that'll work. And in his case, he's 7th year to date in par 4 scoring average. So I think he has a lot of stuff going there. I'm a little hesitant to take a defending champ just because it doesn't really happen, in successive years. But if he finishes in the top 5, top 10, it'll probably work itself out, provided you have the right ammo behind him as far as DFS lineups. Now, the interesting one is the fade. So that pretty much leaves Bryson, Patrick Reed, or Victor Hovland. And this really, really hurts my heart.
Oh, my God.
But I'm going to fade Hovland.
Okay.
By the way, his price in DraftKings and DFS is really caught up to the player he is. I mean, we're not able to play Hovland in spots we once were based off of his number. It kind of puts you behind the ball with your lineup immediately when you're having to pay, whatever it is, 10,600.
So now you'd ask me why. So sometimes it's more a little subjective than objective, but I read a quote this week, and I think it was over the weekend. It might have been Monday, but he said he just didn't really like Florida courses all that much. Now, granted, he did pretty well last week, but his two years here, he's 40th and 42nd. So, okay, I'll think about that. He's 2nd, 5th, and 2nd in his last 3 events, but Finau regressed a little. Xander made some sense, but he regressed a little. Maybe it's Hovland's turn. His last 24, he's 78th around the green and 57th in putting. So, maybe he's got the driver working, which is great. But, if he catches a couple of fluky bounces and doesn't quite get his shots the way he wants to, maybe the putter doesn't cooperate. Maybe, he lands in a bunker or something. So, yeah.
Maybe he doesn't have an 8.
Yeah. So he could finish in the top 20, which was fine, but based on his salary, I'll take a pass and take a flyer on the others. There's probably more of a risk reward factor with Bryson, and then it's hard for me to not play Patrick Reed just because I think his game fits the course pretty well. So yeah, Hovland for me was a fade.
Wow, that's bold. And when we get to my picks, we'll talk about why Hovland is unavoidably he has to be played. And so, you guys better move up. I'm a bit top 5. I'm sure I understand what he means by that. I'm up a bit, top 5. All Falcon Day, one of our guys. Doesn't matter if you don't like the course, if you're sticking at the 5 feet. And anyway, this is going to be a lot of fun. All right, so Justin sent in his picks. Justin's on the road again. We hope he's listening in or watching in live. And he also goes with Hatton as one of his plays. He goes with Bryson as one of his plays. And he is fading Rory. And so that's Justin. We've talked about Rory. We've talked about Hatton. We've kind of alluded to Bryson. But let's go ahead and go to Pro. Pro, what do you got? Give me 2 and 1.
Yeah. So I flip-flopped on this pretty much all day because it's difficult, because it's Hatton or Rory for me, and I'm going with Rory as well. Rory's game looked a little bit crisper last week. He still is working on some things. However, he does have a great track record at this course. To Guru's point, it is somewhat difficult when you sit down and you say, damn, he won last year. It's hard to think he's going to win this year. And I feel like a lot of the times in this 10K range, you're looking for the guy to win. So I'm going to take Rory. The other guy I'm taking is Patrick Reed. I just love Patrick Reed's game. It's a difficult golf course. I have a feeling he'll be there Sunday. And the guy I'm fading is Bryson. Listen, it's tough in this range to fade somebody, but I have a very good feeling that either Rory or whether it would have been Hatton and Patrick Reed are going to be there come Sunday, come the weekend, where Bryson certainly could be, but Bryson also could be packing his stuff in the trunk of his car and taking off for the weekend, because we just don't know exactly where his game's at right now. We saw him come back last week with a wonderful 64, tie the course record, and it's like, okay, he went like 78, 64. It's like,
Yeah, it's different when the pressure's on.
Yeah.
And, but he is the most volatile by far. And we've heard gurus say this on numerous occasions. And so I get it. I mean, who else? I mean, you don't want to fade some of these other guys. I mean, like Guru.
It's hard.
All right, we'll jump to my 10Ks and we'll get to the nines. My 10K is going to put a 4-leg sweep, Hatton also, and so we do know that Hatton is definitely going to be one of our consensus plays that we're going to post tomorrow night. My other must play in the 10K range, even at 10-6, it's because he's worth it, and that's Hovland. And I kind of did something similar to Guru. I went ahead and did the last 24 rounds, and I went with off the tee, approach, birdie or better, scrambling, par fives, and tee to green. And Hovland came out number 1. He's third off the tee, 14th in approach, third in birdie or better, 13th overall in scrambling. He's 34th overall, which is still very strong in par fives, and he's number 1 tee to green in the last 24 rounds out of this field. And so
just one thing.
He has no weakness. And you know what? He's not the best at scrambling. We saw that last week, but boy, there's something magical about this guy. He's hitting on all cylinders. I can't for any reason see how he doesn't. Now, obviously, he had an amazing week last week, but let's just see what happens. But I'm all in on Hovland, and he's almost like my must-play guy. And so I love him, and he's in. My fade is Bryson for the same reason we talked about the volatility. He could probably go out there and shoot 264s. Will he? I don't know. I don't think so. I think he has the most unpredictable outcome. And for that reason, he's my fade. And so it looks like we got 2 fades on Bryson, 1 on Hovland, and 1 on Rory. This is going to be a lot of fun to keep up with, and because we like to have a little fun at each other's expense. And so, yeah, and it's true. Hovland is playing like a top 3 player in the world. He and Morikawa.
If he could chip, I mean, if his short game was even average, he would be.
It's improving so much better. It's like every week he's a different player than he was even 6 months ago. His confidence is higher. I mean, I just think I love the guy. And so, what was it they said? They questioned him after that round where he had that 8, and he didn't even remember it. I mean, he just like brushed it right off. And so
it was terrible.
I think, he can forget about the bad holes and move on. Nothing bothers that guy. He's amazing. Okay, 9K. Guru. It's on you, buddy.
Does it have to be?
Yeah, 9K.
All right, so let's go down the model a little, and let's go Paul Casey. So the one thing I don't like is I don't like somebody coming back after a bit of a break on a course, but everything else really checks out for me. So if I can get over my own little bias there, it actually makes some sense. So last 24, he's 26th off the tee, 23rd in approach, 69th around the green, 44th putting. I thought his putting would have been a little worse, but that's actually a pretty good number for him. So I feel like he's on a bit of an upswing. But then you look, last 24, he's 11th in driving distance, first in bogey. So, he's not really making any, and he's 18th in pars. So he's just kind of chugging along. And, those Euro guys like the win. So if he can make the cut, get through the weekend, he's really probably not going to shoot himself in the foot. So hopefully he can score a little bit. He's second in total driving on the year, which is pretty cool. He's 5th in approaches over 200 yards on the year, which is, a check in my book. And he's 26th in putting inside 10 feet. So kind of combine that all together. And my comp course list that I built into the model, he was 6th overall. So although he hasn't played here recently, the courses I used behind it, suggest he should still do pretty well. And, with his last 4 starts, he's 5th, 12th, 1st, and 8th. So he's in pretty good form. He should play well. Stats make it sound like, he ought to do okay. So yeah, for 9,100, I'm going to take a flyer. 6th in the model is Fitzpatrick. Probably be pretty chalky, but that's the chalk I'm going to probably eat. Course history, last 4 years, he's got a 2nd, 9th, and 13th. Last 24 rounds, he's 23rd off the tee, 11th in approach, 42nd around the green, and 24th in putting. So that's pretty well-rounded, and that sort of well-rounded approach has actually worked pretty well for us the last couple of weeks with different guys we've selected. So I'm going to kind of keep that going. he's better with the longer putts as opposed to the shorter ones, but 15 to 20 feet, he's 16th on the year. 20 to 25, he's 4th. So it doesn't, hopefully he doesn't get it too close because he could butcher it. But if he keeps it a little further away, I'll take my chances. And then he's interesting 2021 stat I found. He's second on the year in par 3 scoring. So hopefully he can make up a couple of strokes there, or at least expand his lead.
I love that guy too.
And I've been riding him for a couple of weeks with outrights and plays and things like that, and it stinks he's down to 25 or 30 to 1, depending on where you're taking him. But I'm going to keep it going because he's done nothing really to warrant me not playing him. So the fade of the week for me,
25 today. I saw him 25.
Fade of the week for me is Jordan Spieth. Yeah, it's going to happen. So couple things. So he's playing with Rose and Bryson. And I'm a big believer sometimes, and you can kind of feed off of, again, it's more of a subjective kind of, fade, but I'm a big believer you can kind of feed off of the people you're playing with. I think Bryson's a question mark. I think Rose is a question mark. They both could do really well. They both could just completely just stink. And so I don't think that's really going to help him. I don't think it's going to hurt. But, for somebody that's never played the course before, I'd like to think he maybe would get a better group of, people, and maybe he could feed off of them. Though I know Bryson's done okay historically. I mean, the couple times he's played, and Rose has done okay too. And then if you look at his last 24, the things I don't like, 105th off the tee. So, he still tends to get a little loose. So, if he throws a couple in the wrong place, that's just going to hurt him. The 90th in greens and reg doesn't really help either. And then he's 113th in pars. So, he's scoring. Yeah, he's up and down and he's scoring. But not as, yeah, I hope as a fan, I hope he does well. I'm just not convinced this is the right place for him or the right week. So yeah, he's a fade.
Yeah, I understand that. And I get it. But he's so magical around the greens, and if he misses those greens in regulation, I can see him pulling out some really cool chips and getting close, and maybe even popping one in or two.
Oh, I would watch that group all Thursday and Friday. Like I would take off work and just watch them. I think there's so much.
Both days.
I think there's so much juice that you could watch from there. It'd be great.
All right, Pro. What are your thoughts on the Spieth fade?
Well, listen. Nick, you have no reason to not. I get it. I mean, listen, I completely understand. I'm a Jordan Spieth guy. I completely understand the angle you're coming from, and a lot of other people are coming from. I get it. I'm playing Spieth. Spieth's one of my 9K guys.
All right.
And here's the reason. And the last 3 events he's been top 15. That's been great. I just think the confidence is the X factor to me. He seems more confident. He doesn't seem as robotic. It's kind of get up, hit ball. Listen, I could be made look a fool this week, and Spieth will make me do that on multiple weeks on this show, and I will eat it crow every single time. However, I do think he's a guy I'm going to play. I know he's never played in this golf tournament. I know the numbers with the driver haven't been great. This golf course, you have to put it in play. However, I do think there is something to say with you're right, with the Bryson and Justin Rose pairing. However, he's comfortable with those guys, I would think, playing in multiple Ryder Cups and things like that. So I know he'd be comfortable with Bryson, and it's just, for me, it's a gut feeling with Spieth. I don't know. I think he's going to play well. I do. I think he's going to play well. I think he's going to be there Sunday. So he'll be my first play. And then my second play, and it does seem chalk, like you said, Guru, is going with Matt Fitzpatrick. Guy plays great on tough golf courses. He's had great form. He's had great pass here with 3 top 20s, like you gentlemen mentioned. He's the guy I'm going to go with. The fade for me, and this is tough because this guy's in some decent form, but it's going to be Jason Day. I can't 100% ever trust Jason Day. It's not even – this is more of a golf just feeling. It's hard to see Jason Day put 4 rounds together. We know how good he is around the greens, but it's just been with all the injuries and things he's gone through ever since, that win at Whistling Straits, it's just things have just not ever gotten back to where they're supposed to be. Jason Day's one of those guys you pick and you're like worried he may WD like in the middle of your lineup and then just crash you. So I'm going to fade Jason Day in the 9K range.
Cool. I can't say anything about any of those. Do you think Spieth was really feeling it last week when he wasn't playing in this WGC? And,
yeah, without a doubt.
I think he wants to prove something. When you get on a roll and when you're in the zone,
you want to play great, too. And that's the thing.
You want to get back out there. So he's chomping at the bit to get out there.
I agree. It's going to be exciting.
I'll quickly go through Justin's. He also selected Casey as one of his 9Ks, and he selected Sungjae M, not Sebastian M, Sungjae M. And I can definitely understand that why, and I'll be talking about that because I also took Sungjae M, and he faded. Here's his fade, guys. Fitzpatrick.
Wow.
He fades the guy that all three of us are going to have as one of our best plays.
You know something we don't.
Sometimes that works.
He's the most degenerate gambler of all of us, and so he may be onto something. He's actually had some really good showings with some of his plays with Webb and some of the other guys he's had in the last back-to-back weeks. But Casey, M, and Fitzpatrick, that leads to me, and it's pretty redundant. Fitzpatrick is my first 9K guy. I don't have to go into all the stats. We just talked about them. M. Sebastian, I did it myself. Sungjae M is just, he's back. He took a couple of weeks off, got back into the fold. Had a mixed reaction on his game last week at the concession, but in this field, he's sixth off the tee, 16th birdie or better. His approach is 54th, which is still, top third. And I do worry about his scrambling. He's 84th, and his par 5 scoring is 37th, but he's 27th tee to green overall. But I do believe that he's going to be involved in this thing, and I like him a lot. And so both Justin and I have him. And my fade is Fleetwood. I know a lot of people are on him this week, and there's guys out there betting him, telling everybody they should be betting him. And when I pull up my model, I just can't do it.
And very good last week.
No, he wasn't. And so I'm trying to find him here. I can't even find him on my model here.
It's deep down.
What do we have? Where is he at in our model, in Guru's model?
Who's that?
Fleetwood.
Tommy, 43rd.
Yeah, down there somewhere. Yeah, 43rd.
Yeah, I'm going so far down. Here we go. Yeah, I've got him ranked 108th this week, and boy, it's going to bite me in the ass if he goes off. But I'm looking at off the tee in this field. He's 86th last 24 rounds. He's 86th. He's 112th in approach.
You had him where? In 100 and something?
108th.
Christ almighty.
He's 74th birdie or better in this field. He's 35th in scrambling. He's 67th in putting, and he's 99th in tee to green. He hasn't looked good, and so why would I believe he's going to be amazing? All of us. I don't know if he's a guy that could flip a switch like that, and if he does, how much better can he be? I could be proven way wrong, but I've got him way down there, and it's not me, it's the program. When you plug in these last 24 rounds and under those percentages, that's where he came up, and so he's an easy fade for a $9,000 player. He was the easiest fade on the board for me.
So he's really 108th, but when he plays better, he'll flip the switch and he'll be 43rd. So there you go.
Okay, so you know what? He's going to get up to 43rd. That's why he's not worth paying $9,000 for. All right, let's go to 8. We're going to go with 3 plays and 1 fade on 8K. Guru, go.
It's the highest I've had him in a really long time, so I'm going to start with Louis Ustasen. I really like that one, and it kind of fits the whole Euro theme. So interesting thing recent. So his last 12 rounds overall. So he's got 6 rounds in the 60s, and the best round was 63. He's got 6 rounds in the 70s, and the worst round was 72. So he's actually in a pretty good spot. I mean, it just, in terms of recent form, he's got a little course history here. I mean, he got 9th in 2015. His last 24 rounds, he's 33rd off the tee, 74th in approach, was a little worrying, but he ended up gaining on the field last week a little bit, 7th around the green, and 1st in putting. So that's kind of a bonus there. Last 24, he's 16th in eagles and 30th in birdies, so I think he can score. 21st, the season so far this year, he's 34th in total driving, 4th in putts inside 10 feet, so he's not going to miss some close. And he's top 40 in par 4 scoring average and par 5 scoring average. So that kind of seems like a, I don't want to say no brainer, but if there was a must-have play for me, after looking at it, he might actually be one of them. The second one, it's amazing what happens. 1 week can change your outlook on everybody. So I'm going to go with number 14 in the model, and I am taking some Jason Kokrak this week when I wouldn't go near him last week. And that actually worked out really well for me. Yeah. I already finished my glass of humble pie, so I'll have another one next week. Just let me know.
I believe I recommended Kokrak last week.
Yeah, I believe
I played croquet.
I believe you guys all did. That's okay. That's why last week sucked, and that's why we're going to move on. So his course history here is actually pretty good. So he's got 5 top 20s in the last 7 years. So I think he's got a little more juice than Charles Howell, but that's the gold standard that we're going to use for course history specialist. And so yeah, he's Charles Howell improved this week, but the last 24, he's 17th off the tee. And he's 10th in putting, so those are his elite numbers. The 82nd approach is a little concerning, and 105th around the green is a little concerning, but where I can offset that, he's 24th in greens and reg, 27th in driving distance, but he's got the 34th in eagles and 40th in birdies, so that actually works. And then on the season, what I liked, 12th in total driving, which is good because total driving is where you rank in distance and accuracy put together, so I think he can stick it where he needs to stick it. And then as far as the putting goes, he's 14th inside 10 feet and 7th from 10 to 15. So, that's enough for 8,100 to check out. And based on the model, that puts him right about 81. So he should pay off his price at that point. And if he does better than that, even better. So the third one was interesting for me because in the model, Burns and Homa are up there. And I'm not saying to not play them, but for me, it's who do I feel most comfortable playing? And, when I plug the ownership in, I feel like Burns is going to be 17, 18, 19, 20. Statistically, he fits like a glove, on paper. But this is one of those, do I really want to play him? And, what can I gain on the field by not playing him? I'm not really sure what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to necessarily recommend him in the slot. So I veered a little bit, and I went a little further down, right under Kokrak. I went to number 15. I'm going to play Billy Horschel again.
Oh, boy.
Billy Ho. He played last week, and that actually kind of swung the needle in his favor a little bit. So the last 7 years here, he's got 7 made cuts, which is cool. So, and the finishes all range from 13 to 54. So again, I'm not going to call him Charles Howell, but he got the whole Charles Howell thing working, and so he's on my short list. So last 24, he's 9th off the tee, 106th in approach, was a little scary, 59th around the green, and 29th in putting. But when you just look at the last 4 rounds, he's 4th off the tee, 31st in approach, 22nd around the green, and 4th in putting. So maybe he found something with the approach game. Maybe he likes Florida. If the courses are kind of similar, maybe. Yeah, and he can maybe run with that, and then so based on the model, I went back to the TIF Eagle because it helped a little bit. Last week, the downfall last week was not boosting up the short game enough. I boosted up the putting, but had I boosted up the short game, I think some of the people that popped last week would have been higher up in the model, and some people that were higher up would have fallen off. But I vowed not to make that mistake this week, so I boosted that up, and it checks out for him. So he was 6th in the TIF Eagle, but the last 24, he's got a whole bunch of things that I like. So he's 6th in greens and reg, 8th in eagles, 24th in birdies, 33rd in pars, and 10th in bogeys. So he's not really missing. He's stay in the course, and he's going to score a little bit. And then on the season, he's 14th in par 3 scoring average, and then he's pretty good with the putts inside 10. He's 15th, and then 10 to 15 feet, he's 18th. Add it all together for 8,900. Yeah, I'm going to play.
Nice.
So the fade of the week in the 8K range, God, I hated this one too. Just because I think there's a lot of good people here and a lot of ways you could go. But I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit with this one, and I'm going to take a pass on Kevin Na. So he was 23rd in the model. The last 4 years, course history-wise, he's got 2 missed cuts and 2 36th. So it's up and down. Maybe he likes the course, maybe he doesn't. He's 105th driving distance in the last 24 rounds. So, I don't know if he can hit it as far as he needs to and get the balls all exactly in the right spots. But last 24 rounds, he is first around the green. So that is a good thing. But what I don't like for a premier putter, he's 67th. He's 59th in approach, and then he's 87th off the tee. Not saying he'll miss the cut. He could. But, I think he's going to probably finish, if he makes the cut, which I think he probably will. I assume it'll be somewhere in that 40 to 60 range. And I think for that 8,000 price, I think they're guys in the 7s you can take a flyer on or pay a little bit more for somebody in the low to mid 8s, and have a better shot at a higher finish and more points. So, yeah, he's a fade.
That's definitely a name I wasn't considering. And so thanks for sharing that.
That's a great point.
Yeah, he was actually one of the guys I still wanted to evaluate before I made my final call. But I think you said a lot of good things, and that's going to help me make my decisions. I'll quickly go to Justin, then we'll go to Pro. In the 8K range, Justin is right there with you on Kokrak. Okay, and once again, you laid out the perfect case on why you're in on Kokrak. So is Justin. He's also in there with Louis. And so he's got Kokrak and Louis. So you and Justin are really lining up good on the 8K range. And then he had what I think was 2 fades. It's what it looked like, 2 plays and 2 fades.
Wow.
And it looked like he was fading English and Leishman. And so we'll go in a little bit more depth when we put out our post on our tweets tomorrow. But yeah, he was fading both those guys. And so unless I misinterpreted what he sent me, that's what it looked like he was doing. And so, let's hear what Pro's doing in the 8K range. What do you got there, buddy?
It's funny how aligned Guru and myself are in this category here. Great points with the Burns Homa. Like, listen, nice players. I just, for whatever reason, I feel like I need to step back on them this week. It's literally chalk. I mean, I'm going Billy Horschel. I'm going Jason Kokrak, and I'm going Louis Ustasen. Those are my guys. I mean, again, Kokrak, I'm riding him. I've been riding Kokrak for a few weeks now, and he's not disappointed. Billy Horschel plays great in Florida. Those 3 guys we are aligned with. I don't think we'll have any problem picking our group 8,000 picks this week. For me, my fade's Harris English. He was in great form. It seems like it's somewhat slipping. We are heading to, we're in completely different. The West Coast swing is completely different grass than we're having down here in Florida. So it's a completely different swing. I feel like his game was there. He just seems the guy I'm comfortable with fading. So I'm going to go ahead and fade Harris English in the 8K category.
Wow, that's 2 fades for English. Some of our viewers are probably disagreeing a little bit, but hey, 2 pros can't be wrong, can they? We'll see. I am going to go with an 8K. I'm going chalk, guys. I'm going with him. I'm going with Sam Burns. He's number 2 in my rankings based on my 6 categories, and then when I saw where he lined up in our rankings. It just cemented it for me. At $8,400, he's 3rd off the tee. He's 3rd in birdie or better. He's number 1 in tee to green. No. I'm reading. Sorry, that's never mind. He's 3rd. He's 13th off the tee. I was reading Hovland again.
Do you just have it like pulled up on your computer all the time? Just Victor Hovland stats? Is that where you're at with him right now?
Why can you scroll
Victor Hovland on it? I'm buying all black and orange now. No, Burns is 13th off the tee. He's 11th birdie or better. He's 13th on approach. He's number 2 in par 5s. He's 18th in tee to green overall. He's 45th in scrambling, which is still better than 2/3 of the field. And so that's his worst category of all of these categories. And so obviously one of the concerns is that he's going to be chalky. His ownership, I believe it's going to be in the 20s because it seems like everybody's talking him up. And you know what? They should be. This course is designed for him. He's an LSU guy. He's LSU, Louisiana boy, but he's played that whole circuit down there, and I just think he's a horse for the course. I'm also going with the other guy that we just talked about, and that's Max Homa. Max Homa came in the top 12. He's 12th in my ranking. He also fared very well in our ranking. Off the tee is his only issue is he's really middle of the pack in off the tee. But he's top 10 in approach. That, we said it's a second shot course. He's number 9. He's number 2 in birdie or better. He's number 1 in the field in par 5s, shots gained. He's 4th overall in tee to green, and he's 47th in scrambling. And so if he can hit those greens in regulation and get some putts rolling, I think he's going to do just fine. And he's just playing well. He's just playing great, and so he's in there for me. And then finally, my third one is I'm doing it again, guys. I can't ignore it. I'm going with the Z man, Will Zalatoris.
He hurts you though when you play him.
Maybe I like pain. Maybe I like the pain. but guys, I mean, he's 21 off the tee. He's 5th in approach. He's 30th in birdie or better. He's 3rd on par 5s. He's 6th tee to green. His only flaw in my model is 61 in scrambling, but he hits those greens. And all he's got to do is have some shots gained on putting. And if he does that, and if he starts rolling, and you know what, he actually started really rolling a few in last week, and he actually, I think, turned around a little bit, but. I like him, and he's my third guy. We got, of course, everybody letting me know Sam Burns is due for a letdown. Well, he had a letdown last week when he didn't play.
Burns.
And that's why you go overweight on Burns chalk. Don't matter if you play him. Anyway, I'm a sucker, and I'll be called a sucker, and I'll take it. But you know what? I was also called a sucker when I faded Rory when he finished damn near dead last.
So let me chime in for a second here. So I'm gonna chime in, but I'm gonna go between Burns and Homa for a second. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I've looked at enough tee times over time that, not to say he can't do well, but the one thing that I also don't like on top of the ownership is that he's first off the tee Thursday morning. First group, first tee, first everything. Not to say that people can't score and do well, but that's usually not a pocket where somebody comes out and just, blitzes a 65, 68, something like that. I'm not saying he can't do well, but if you're looking for the lower, first run leaders and better scores and stuff like that, it's usually later in the morning, early afternoon kind of stuff like that. And then when you flip it on Friday, he's going to go off later. I'm not saying that it can't work, but that's something that I would kind of weigh in the back of my mind. I'm always looking for tiebreakers and reasons to qualify and disqualify people. And that's something that jumped out to me on top of the ownership reasons why I was kind of thinking about not playing him as much. Haven't really decided, but the other guys in the 8s are, I'm playing them, and that's why I'm playing them. And here's 2 reasons why I'm not playing as much Burns. Anyway, there you go.
Well, and so that's for you. And then once again, I'm being reminded that I'm going to be burned by Burns. And but you know what? Half empty, half full. All I'm looking at, he's first off the tee. That means there's going to be 0 divot marks for his ball to land in, and that's going to be pristine.
I actually, Guru makes a point, but I disagree. I feel like that first tee time, everything is butter. It's going to be no spike marks. Maybe the second or third group's the best because you get those dew marks of how the putt rolled before you, so you can kind of like read the breaks. So maybe you're right, Guru. Maybe like those, not the first tee time, and maybe the third or fourth is where you at because you're where you want, based off that fact. But yeah, you love those sweet surfaces.
I'm not sure in Florida at that time of the day there's going to be a whole lot of dew left, but maybe who knows? But anyway, this has been a spirited, fun little peppery debate. So that takes me to my fade, and then we get to 7K guys. My fade is going to be, and it's always going to be, Molinari until he proves me wrong. And Molinari is, he's shown signs of life, and good for him. But when it comes down, I've got him ranked 45th. He's right now in this group, the last 24 rounds. He's 78th off the tee. He's 36th in approach, 51st in birdie or better. He's really good scrambler, though. He's 3rd in this field in scrambling. That's really good. But he's 76th in the par 5s, and he's 30th in tee to green. But at the high end of the 8s, almost $9,000, no way. Not a chance. I'm just going to pass him by. There's too many good plays Heck, Horschel's only $200 more. And so why would I play a Molinari? So he's my my fade in the 8K range. And that takes us. Any thoughts on that fade?
I don't like it, but here we are. I mean, listen, I've liked the way Molinari's playing. Yeah, you can throw the 24 round number, but I don't listen. It's tough to fade any of these guys. I'm not going to kill you for fading him, but
I know.
I expect. I mean, I think he's going to play well. He's won this tournament before. He's familiar around these grounds. So, but no, I mean, it's tough. Again, can't kill you for fading Molinari.
He's lowest on my ranking of the 8K guys.
And be honest, he was shit for a really long time. So we remember that. Like after his major win and after really the Masters collapse to Tiger, he's been terrible. So I can't rip you for it. I mean, I think he plays well this week, but hey, he could certainly.
I'm only counting the last 6 tournaments.
Yeah,
and those numbers are real.
Problem is, he's only been good in the last 3. You know what I mean?
But it's not. He's not in the leader. He's not at the top of the leaderboard. That's for damn sure.
That's one of those scary fades because everybody's talking him up. So, do they know something you don't know, or do you know something they don't know?
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody's going to be way right and somebody's going to be way wrong. So he was on my short list, but see, I wasn't brave enough to fade him. I just wasn't going to mention him. That way, nobody's going to bug me about it in case, I don't play him,
I appreciate you going out there and fading him. It's respectable.
Hey, fire away. I can take it. I can take the bullets, man. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to take the beatings. And they'll resume on Monday morning. Okay, let's go to 7K. Guru, start us off.
So, my favorite one, and God, I'm going to hell for saying this, but man, I really like some Ricky Fowler. And that 90-1, like that's Brooks at Phoenix all over again to me. Like you bet that.
We're not talking outrights. We're talking about DK.
No, I'm talking both. 90-1 of the outrights, you go bet that. Because that's just downright.
I agree.
That's downright disrespectful for 90-1. But
he has the talent to be a winner here, and the fact that he is 90-1 is dumb.
Yeah, so bet that. But as far as here, I mean, his last 4 years, he's got 12th, 14th, 40th, and 18th. So even when he's been kind of goofy the last couple years, he still managed to put it together a little bit here. I don't need him to win at 7,800. I just need him to show up and give me another one of those top 20s. So as far as the model goes, I've got this comp course list built in, and he's number 1. And he was number 1, and I don't have the Honda built in my comp course list, and I don't have the players built in my comp course list, and he's still number 1, and he won at both those 2 places. Last 24 rounds, he's 31st off the tee, 16th around the green. The 73rd in putting scares me a little bit, as does the 112 in approach, but I'm willing to take a flyer. He's 35th in driving distance. And then the 2 things that I liked for the 21 stats, he's 40th in total driving. And then he's 15th in approach in that, 125 to 150 bucket. So if he halfway plays with his head and actually puts the ball where he needs to, he might be able to get it where he needs to and then putt it. So yeah, for a 7,800 guy, I'll take a shot. And then as far as the model, he was 12th on my TIFF Eagle, the putting surface, aspect of it that I put in. So yeah, I'm on ride with that. Number 12, I'm going to go with Charlie Hoffman. I've been okay with him, and I'm not sure I'm not sure I've really got the top 10 juice with him. It's more just make the cut and just score what you can and give me what you can and I'll run with it. But his stats are really good especially if you just limit it to the last 24. 15th off the tee, 24th in approach, 50th in putting. I mean, the 95th around the green sucks, but you play him for the other reasons. But then 5th in greens and reg, 15th in driving distance, 16th in eagles, 24th in birdies, 18th in bogeys. And then the course history here, he's 2nd, 14th. He's got that miscut and 13th in the last 4 years. So he obviously kind of likes the place. And then, if you look at the season as a whole, he's got 4 top 14s out of the 14 events. And then the season as a whole, he's 9th in par 3 scoring, 24th in driving distance, and 31st in greens and reg. That's a lot of positive stuff for a guy in the, 7K range. And the model reflects it. And so, yeah, I think he's worth the flyer. I mean, I may be slightly under what his ownership will be, but, if he stays at, 9, 10, 11%, I'm okay. If he drifts higher to 14, 15, I probably get a little scary and maybe, take a last minute pivot. But the 76 makes sense. So yeah, I'll take a shot. Number 3, I debated this one a little bit too, but tried to zig a little bit when I thought other people would zag. So I'm going to go Corey Connors. So he's right. He's 16th in the model, just beneath everybody else. But last 24, he's 10th off the tee, 25th in approach, 54th around the green, 71st in putting. So numbers aren't bad. 4th greens and reg, 13th in birdies, 34th in eagles, and that's just the last 24. And then the season stuff's really what I like more than anything. 31st birdie or better, 23rd par 3 scoring, 11th in that 125 to 150 approach bucket, 11th in total driving, 15th greens and reg, and 30th in overall birdie average. And then he's got 7 top 40s in the last 8 starts. So I think he'll make the cut. I think he'll do well. He doesn't really have the primo history here, but everything says he should play well. So yeah, we'll give it a shot. The fade. There's a whole lot of people. There's a whole lot of people you could fade here. I mean, a whole lot of people. But I'm going to run it back a week and pivot off of pro over here, and I'm going to fade Robert McIntyre. So the 61st last week at the concession didn't really do me any favors. And then if you limit it to a more sizable, more recent sizable round factor, we'll go 16 rounds. He's 38th off the tee, so he should be okay, but the rest of his game just sucks. 111th in approach, 72nd around the green, and 98th in putting. That just screams, I'm not going to play you. So yeah, he's my fade.
Okay, I didn't even know he was in the field. I'm just kidding.
He was 101st in my model, so I think there's a whole lot of people that probably don't know he's in the field.
Yeah. Well, if they're looking at your model, and it'll be up soon. Okay, so let's real quickly. There was only 2 plays that Justin had in the 7K range, and believe it or not, Fowler is one of them. And so he's right there with you on Ricky, and then he's also Bezuidenhout. He's that guy's actually played pretty well here, and so he's one of his plays. And Justin did not give me a fade for the 7K range, but what are your thoughts on Bezuidenhout?
Guy can putt. He's got decent form. He's done okay, coming across. So yeah, I don't have a problem with him playing. I think it's a decent pick.
Yep, and you guys. Yeah, I mean, we could take it. Obviously, it's a big thing to hear. We just got asked if we've been watching the same Ricky Fowler. He's off the reservation.
That's true.
I guess the thing about Ricky Fowler though is he's so good, and something
you're not going to hit with all of them, I mean, sometimes you take a flyer on somebody because other people aren't going to go. I mean, maybe it's a better outright than a DFS pick, but sometimes you take a shot, and I've got him running up at less than 10%. And, you compare him to somebody like Tringali, right? So I've got Fowler basically 8 and Tringali at 13. Is Tringali 50% more likely to have a better round than Fowler? Maybe based on his recent form, but I don't know that I would take him 50% more of the time. And hey, I was touting Hideki last week. Nobody else is going to Hideki either, so maybe I'm not all bad.
No, I think you're pretty good, Guru. And so, but yeah, nobody can hit them all the time. And so let's go ahead and get pro. I'm dying to hear your 7K guys, man.
Yeah, I want to touch on Ricky real quick. He's not in my lineup. For me, the numbers are out of whack with Ricky overall because you can ask anybody around the golf industry. He is one of the best putting strokes on tour. It's the ball striking, everything. All the issues in his game has trickled down to his putting. As all Falcon Day said, he's off the reservation. We're sending the SOS. I mean, where the hell is Ricky Fowler? I know he switched to John Tillery. He's going through a lot of swing, changes, trying to get the shaft on a more, on plane instead of being so shallow at the top. But again, it's hard for me to take Ricky. I love Ricky. I hope he gets his game back. But for me, I'm going, I think one of the most value plays of the week in as far as stacking DFS lineups is Chris Kirk at 7,000. I think that there's a very good chance Chris Kirk makes the cut. I think at that value, he could be a top 25 guy. I'm also going to go with Cameron Tringali, 7,700. We've been rocking Cameron Tringali a lot as a group.
We have. And he keeps showing up.
He does. He does. And then Lanto Griffin, for me, is going to be my $7,700 play here in the 7K category. He's been playing well. I like his ball striking, able to put the ball in play. So those are going to be my three guys. My fade's going to be Bet On. And I love me some Bet On, but he's going to be my fade this week. Again, the guy, he can't putt.
I thought about him, and also coming back from Puerto Rico, and that, yeah.
Yeah, so those are my three and my fade there at 7.
All right, 7K, I'm with you. I got Tringale. I mean, gosh, he's in our top 10, in the model. Or where's he at?
10.
Yeah, he's number 10 in our model. And he's 7. Why am I not going to have him in my lineup? And so Tringale will be in my lineup just for kicks. He's 7th in my makeshift model. And what I love about him right now in this field, he's 3rd in approach. He's 7th in birdie or better shots gained par 5. He's 7th. He's top 10 tee to green overall. He's number 10 overall. So $7,700. Gimme. And I'm also going with Corey Connors. 10th in the last 24 rounds off the tee, 11th tee to green, 19th on the par 5s, 12th in birdie or better, top 23rd in approach. His biggest weakness is scrambling, and that's still way better than 80% of the field at 36. And so Corey, I love me some Corey Connors, especially at 73 on the low range of that 7K range. And then I've got one other guy, Cameron Davis, 7.9. Haven't talked about him a lot. He's 9th in my model. Where's he at in our model?
27.
So he's right there in the top 25, 27. He's 25th. He's 7th in off the tee, 25th on approach, 5th birdie or better, 16th tee to green. He's not as good of a scrambler. He's middle of the field at 67, and he's 49th in the par 5s. But at that price point, I like him, and he's also somebody that I haven't seen a lot of people talking about, and so I'm taking a flyer. He's a 7K guy. It's what you do, right?
Absolutely.
And in my fade is the guy that won in Puerto Rico last week. I like to fade the next week players, and he traveled from Puerto Rico, Brandon Grace, and so he's 7,500. My model has him at 63rd this week, and 74th off the tee, 46th approach, and 27th, which isn't too bad, birdie or better. But he's 65th in tee to green. He's 89th in par 5s, and he's 93rd in scrambling. He's going to need to scramble, especially since he's not great off the tee. And so he's a huge fade for me at 7,500. I think a lot of people might think he's getting hot. Don't fall into that mistake. Fade that guy. So that brings us to, what do you guys think about that one here?
I don't think it's bad. I mean, usually those guys round back in, and it might take them a tourney or two, but we'll see if he can maintain. But yeah, I agree with the philosophy. A lot of people do it. Yep. So I'm not totally convinced that this is the best place for him, Davis, that is, but his form is really top notch at the moment, so you really can't knock it. When somebody lacks a little course history, I usually kind of defer to the comp list, because I actually believe in the comp list more than I do the course history, just because I think there's a random sampling from other tourneys in there. So he popped out at 34th, so that's still in the upper end of the field. So I think he'll do well. I mean, the 20th, wherever he had him, 27th in the model probably reflects the comps a little bit, and then just because it's more of a top heavy field. So I think he'll do fine. I just preferred other people in that 7 range. Horschel being the same price or not Horschel, Tringale, and there was somebody else. Oh yeah, Ricky Fowler. I actually like Ricky a little better than Davis just because he's got the course history.
Yeah, we just got a comment. Does no course history here scare you a little on Davis? I feel the same way with Jordan Spieth. These guys are pros. A lot of the players went to last week, never saw the course, and they did just fine. He's had practice on this course for 3 days now, and I think, hey, he's my guy. I'm taking it.
Jordan Spieth has played Bay Hill. I just bet Jordan Spieth hasn't played a tournament at Bay Hill. I'm sure he's probably
I
got.
don't know. I'm hearing it's his first time playing. That's on the Golf Channel.
Yeah.
And so, but you know what? I'm not fading a pro for that reason, especially if I feel like the game somewhat suits them. So, but watch me eat crow or drink a crow shake or whatever he put on there earlier. You know, when Cam Davis doesn't make the cut, we'll see. And we do have a guy. They're pros. Their games will travel to any course. All right. Let's talk about some value plays. 6K. I don't have any. Obviously, we don't have fades in the 6K range, but let's hear some of your big 6K plays. Guru, we'll start with you.
So Naismith is the obvious one, but there's kind of a rule of thumb that I subscribe to, and I break it frequently. But I generally try not to play like the heavy guy in the 6K. If everybody's on a guy in 6K, then I think I'm going to go the other way. And from what I've kind of figured out, even though he kind of fits, I think everybody's on Naismith. Sometimes it's super obvious. I'm not convinced that this time it's super obvious. So he's number one in the model, or number one in the placement as far as the 6K guys, but I'm going to step a little further down. So I'm going to give you pretty much the next three. So Zach Johnson, John Huh, and Patton Kizzire. So Johnson's 32nd. He's 6,900. Last 7 years, he's got a 43rd, 9th, 5th, miscut, 26th, 40th, and 32nd. So he's going to do okay. He's going to make the cut. I don't know that he'll get a top 20 anymore, but he'll make the cut, score you some points. But he's second in greens and reg last 24. He's top 20% in the field in terms of DraftKings points. So compared to the people around his price point, he's probably going to score more. Last 24, he's 12th in approach and 38th in putting. I mean, he doesn't have the length off the tee, and short game hasn't been great, but he should do enough to score a little bit. John Huh's interesting because he too is top 20% in the field in average DraftKings points. Yeah, exactly. Last 24, he's 34th off the tee, 41st in approach, 35th around the green, and 64th in putting. So for somebody at his price point, his game is actually pretty well-rounded. I mean, he lacks a little in the putting, but overall, I think he could do a whole lot worse. And, he's got a 26th here in 2018. So he's played it before. And, I think he's in better form now, or at least comparable to back then. So, if he can pop a top 30 or better, that works for me. Kizzare's the interesting one for me because he's top 10% in the field in terms of average DraftKings points. He is third as far as the TIF Eagle goes, the way I broke out the putting in the model. Last 24, he's 40th off the tee, 11th around the green, and 13th in putting. So if there was probably one 6K guy to play, for me, it's probably him. And I think he's from Georgia as well, if I'm not mistaken. So he's got that whole experience in the Southeast and probably playing some of these, coastal courses and whatnot. So, and I think all Huh and Kizzire, I think, will be under probably 5%. I'll say even probably around 3%. So if you're looking to save a little bit, it's probably the way to go there. I think Zach Johnson will be a little more, probably in 6, maybe as much as 7. But those are probably the 3 guys I like.
Well, what about you, Pro? What do you got on 6K values?
Yeah, so as much as I respect Guru for taking the high road on Matt Naismith, I'm not doing that.
I'm not either.
I'm just taking the easy way out in this one here. I'm going to take Matt Naismith here in my first one. But 100% agree with Zach Johnson. He's going to be my second pick. I believe he's made 9 out of the last 9 cuts that he's played in as far as PGA Tour events. So
he's a good guy in 6K, yeah.
Exactly. That's what we're looking for in the 6K category, is just a guy that's going to make the cut that we can bank points for the weekend. So I'm going to take him. He hits a lot of fairways. He's going to keep his ball in play. The third guy I'm taking is Russell Knox, actually. And for me, Russell Knox, again, this is a difficult golf course. Russell Knox knows how to maneuver difficult golf courses. He knows where to put the ball on the right spots. He knows where to miss. I think he'll be able to get around here just fine. I think, in the 6,000 range, he's going to be one of my guys. So I'll take Naismith as well as the good man, the Iowa man, Zach Johnson, and Russell Knox.
Nice.
Okay. Real quickly, we'll go. Justin, he threw in Naismith, and I'm going to touch on Naismith a little bit more because Guru kind of glossed over him. He also took Kyle Stanley, and I kind of like that play at $6,500. He's right there, right below the Knox price, and I was just looking at Kyle Stanley. Where does our model have him? Because he's 16th right now in approach. That's not bad. He's 35th tee to green, so it's $6,500.
56.
All right, I've got him 43rd on mine. But anyway, there's something about him that Justin really likes, and I think it's the fact that he's a really good iron strike. He's really good ball striker, and that's what we need on this course. And so he's middle of the pack on off the tee, and his birdie or better is not the best number either. He's 100, but he's right there in tee to green and right there in approach, and so I could see a flyer on him. As far as my 6K guys, I'm all over Naismith. And for the obvious reasons, he's $6,900. He's 20th off the tee. He's number one in this field in the last 24 rounds in approach, and in this field. And he's also 11th in par fives. He's 8th tee to green, 27th in scrambling. His worst category of my 6 criteria is birdie or better, and he's still in the top third of the field at 53. And so when you get a guy with those kind of numbers coming into this kind of course, that's made for him, and he's under 7K, yeah, he's going to be in my lineups. Him and Will Zalatoris, there may be a lot of chalk on Naismith, but I'll be able to make up for it with some bonehead picks later a little higher up. And so they'll be the ones that knock me off. But I also have John Hutt in there just because your model. All the reasons you bring up at 6,600. Also got Brendan Steele, and I really like Brendan Steele this week. Let me see where I got him. He's $6,900. He's 16th off the tee. He's 33. He's 26th in scrambling. That's what I liked about him. I liked his off the tee and his scrambling numbers. And so he's another one that I'm throwing in there. And then I got a super sleeper. Bo Hogue. And the reason I like Bo Hogue, number one, he's 42nd off the tee, which isn't horrible in this field. He's only 6,200. He's almost minimum. But in scrambling, that dude is 6th in this field, and in par fives, he's 6th in this field. He's 43rd overall tee to green, and he's 48th in birdie or better. And so, you know what? He may not have the best ball striking skills, but he's still in the top half. He's 69. But the fact that he's top 6 in scrambling, that's one of the reasons I like him, and he's better than average off the tee. And so, for $6,200, I'm taking a flyer on Bo. And that's going to allow me to jam in another really, really good guy. And so,
do you know who he partners with on Thursday?
Actually, I hadn't looked at the pairing.
Sam Burns. He's first off the tee with Sam Burns.
Oh man, he's going to have those clean fairways, those beautiful, pristine greens. Oh,
I don't know if there's a line for it, but I might almost be crazy enough to bet that Hogue has a better first round than Sam Burns.
I like it. Look at Guru coming in strong.
Guru, you can bet these things. Like, you can bet these odds. They're there.
You have to be able to find them.
Here's the thing. We can start our own book.
Yeah, all right. That seems aggressive. But yes.
$6,200 for that guy. Those are some pretty damn good, stats for a $6,200 player. As a matter of fact, he's my highest rated $6,200 player I've ever had. Wow. And so I'm all over it. So anyway, that's where I'm at on that. Real quickly, tomorrow night we're going to put up our consensus top plays and top bets. Do you have a few that you're looking at right now, and you got in pencil still yet, or?
Oh, I locked my 6 in already. I did.
Oh, you already got your 6? You want to share like my 6 in?
Oh no,
I'll share 3 outrights.
I'll give you the whole Monty right now. No shame in my game. I just
want 3.
I already gave you Fowler, so there's 1. Done.
Okay, yeah, 90-1. I get it.
I took Paul Casey at 25-1, and then I took Louis Ustasen at 30-1.
Nice. Go ahead and give them all.
I took Corey Connors at 90-1.
Right.
We must have been drinking from the same Kool-Aid because I took Zalatoris at 50-1.
Yes. Yes. I love it, man. I don't even have my mind.
And then I rode. I'm gonna ride Fitzpatrick again, so I played him at 25-1 again too.
All right. What about you, Pro? You got any outrights you're looking at right now?
Yeah,
but not in 10 yet.
I do have some. I don't have the odds pulled up in front of me here, but we'll start out Rory Mcilroy, which I believe are 8-1, something along those lines.
Yeah, he's been 8-10. So
you can't bet under double digits, man.
I mean, I understand that it's kind of it's a long shot. I mean, you kind of want to go odds above that, but I'm going to go Patrick Reed as well. The third guy I have is Billy Ho. Billy Ho, I don't know where he's at as far as odds. I don't have it down in front of me, but Billy Ho would be my third guy. I do think Patrick.
And these are official. We're going to put official up tomorrow night.
An American is winning this week. It's been 6 straight years of European winners.
European or international? They've been dominating.
Yeah, internationally, absolutely. So it's Patrick Reed Weeds.
Yep. Justin did have a few outrights. Paul Casey, 25-1. Kokrak, 33. And he's also big on Ustasen at 25. And so he's kind of big on those. For me, my outrights before we close the show is Hatton, 18. Fitzpatrick, 25. And these aren't firm either. I've got Burns, 45. Tringali 90 and Connors 90. I know you have Connors. I will probably toss and turn all night on these, and I'll probably have a little bit different outlook when I post tomorrow night. Also, guys, if you get a chance, make sure you go to hammercast.com. Download the latest episode. I'm telling you, it's the best read out there. The weekly read called Profile of Contender Guru puts a lot of time and effort into that article, and we attach the spreadsheet to that article with all of our data. And so, guys, you got to go to hammercast.com when it's posted on Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening. Look at the spreadsheet, read the article. It's all going to tie together, and it's going to blow your mind. It's that good. And so, reminder to do that. One final thing I want to talk about today, and that is optimal lineup. And we did go ahead and put together an optimal lineup based on our spreadsheet, our model. You want to walk us through that? I've got it.
Sure.
On the scroll. Go ahead, Guru.
There we go. So based on how it shook out, we actually have our first, 7th, 8th, 10th, 12th, and 16th ranked golfers that managed to qualify and still save you $500. I feel pretty comfortable with everybody up there. If you wanted to really make any changes, you could consider pivoting off of Burns or Homa, I guess, if you wanted to, and then maybe consider pivoting off of Connors and, maybe bump up to somebody that 9K range if you wanted to, since nobody, we basically jump from 10 to 8 and leave you with a bunch of 7s. But the way everything shakes out this week, I don't really think there's much of a need to really drift down into the 6s too far or really too often, depending on how many lineups you do. I think you can build a pretty top heavy sort of stars and scrubs lineup, but your scrubs don't need to go all the way down just because this, you get into the lower 6K nether regions and they're not really that great. They're like super scrubs. So at least kind of stay in the upper end of the 6s if you're going to drop down, or even lower 7s. And I think you've got, better top 10, top 20 win equity and things like that. But they all, 5 of the 6 guys, Connors being the exception, really check out above field average, top 65 or so in most of the major categories across the board, which I thought was pretty interesting where they fell in the model and how it managed to come together in terms of an optimal. So nobody's going to kill you. I mean, nobody's going to really hurt you either. So I feel pretty good about at least everybody making the cut. I feel pretty good about, upside in terms of people being able to score and, come up in a pretty good overall spot. Hopefully it's enough to, if they end up where they are in the model, we should do quite well. That's always the wild card. We run pretty well with a few of them. There's always been that one guy that just hasn't quite, cut it. But hopefully, this is the week that, 4 or 5 of them, hold up to the ranking and that one guy just exceeds expectation. And, we're all cashing pretty well.
Awesome. And for those that are listening on the podcast, just so you know, it's Hatton, it's Burns, it's Homa, it's Tringali, it's Hoffman, and Connors. It's 49.5 with a projected 549.2 points. That's based on our model, our rankings, and I know you can't read the screen, so I wanted to make sure I verbalize that. But everything that Guru just mentioned, it just makes so much sense to me. The fact that you still got $500 if you're not comfortable with that, but we've been doing very, very well on getting a large portion of that optimal, and I'm really liking. Because I married my model with our Guru model, and a lot of my plays are really, really close, especially in this optimal lineup. So it's really exciting. I wish tomorrow was Thursday so we can get this thing going.
Me too.
Pro, any final thoughts from you before we check off?
No, I'm excited. Yeah, 5 years. It's been 5 years since Arnold Palmer passed. So always a fun tournament. I'll be keeping my eye out on Sam Saunders, his grandson. But it'll be again. We're ramping up to an awful lot of good golf and heading. Our sights are come March in Sawgrass for the players.
Yeah, that's exciting, guys. We hope you enjoyed this show. Please, if you did, please clip the thumbs up, give us a little comment, let us know how we're doing. It really does help us out. We're a young channel and we're just starting to grow, and we're putting a lot of effort into this for you. Come on, do it. Hit that thumbs up and let us know. Oh, and I'll say it again. Every week we're doing this. Pick your player. Who's going to win? Comment on the YouTube channel and let us know who you're going to win. Whoever names their player first, if that player wins, you win. And so make sure that you do that. And our boy Ryan Henson, who won with the burger, his shipment got delayed and it just showed up. It's at my house, and so it will be going out tomorrow or the next day, and so he'll be getting it. There was no winner last week, and so make sure you go to the YouTube page when this thing is published, and give us your favorite. If you win, you're going to win an autographed photo of the winner of the tournament. And so it's a little bonus for you. Hey, we appreciate you guys. Look for our Twitter handles tomorrow night. We're going to be tweeting out our consensus picks and all of our personal top plays and a few other goodies like that. So be on the lookout for that. And until then, peace out.
Did you get all that? If not, make sure you head over to hammercast.com, subscribe, and join the Hammer Nation. Until next time, keep grinding.